Morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on the time where you are. My name is Eileen Chanji. On behalf of other colleagues listed on this slide, I'd be presenting the gender and socioeconomic results from the GS project. So just to give you a background, common beans is not just a critical food security crop, but also for income. And here we're talking about 400 plus million Africans. The method of breeding is still very traditional, costly, and hardly meets the demand of the evolving farmer. So for this project, what we're doing is cutting down on the breeding time, moving from just on-station trials to basically on-farm so that we make sure that the varieties that are developed consider the preferences of men, women, youth farmers, but also reflect the farmer conditions so that the products that would come out of this research is one where farmers would be able to own it and definitely be able to produce for home consumption as well as the market. Data was collected in 2023, was collected from 90 individuals across three zones, the Lake Zone, Northern Zone, and the Southern Zone. And these 90 individuals are divided into three. We have 27 from female managed plots, 54 from male managed plots, and 9 from jointly managed plots. Farmer characteristics. So, of course, we had a lot more participants from the male managed plots compared to the other categories. Most of the respondents were married, had primary level of education, averagely about 21 years of farming. Average respondent was 45 years. The household average number was 5 members, and if we look at the income earned yearly, it was a lot more from the jointly managed households, which was about $2,670. And this also is because a lot of them participated in off-farm activities. Land ownership and decision making, what the data shows us is men predominantly own and make decisions on the male managed or the male owned plots as well as the jointly managed plots, while women made significant decisions on the female managed plots. And that's because a lot of the female managed plot lands were actually owned by women. So just a snapshot of the economics of common bean production. What we are seeing is that farmers are moving a lot more to newly released varieties, and that's because they have high yields. That's also because of the market prices, which are actually higher compared to the local or the older varieties. If we look at trade preferences, they're not so different between the female and the male, as well as the jointly managed. The top three is actually the yield, the market demand, early maturity. Even though you find like for the jointly managed plot, yield and market demand had like the same scores. While if you look at for the men, the yield, potential, and early maturity had the same scores. But what is clear is those three are the main traits that actually farmers from the female managed, male managed, and joint plots are looking at. But other traits also that are important are like disease resistance, drought, and pest resistance, as well as the price. So basically, a standard Poisson regression model was actually done to determine farmers' performance on different variables. So I would just pick some of the important ones. So for the female managed plots, years of farming experience positively increased their performance. Group membership also was really great, building capacity, especially of women farmers, to be able to access and critically use the resources they have, especially when it came to bean seed production. Also, off-farm employment negatively was associated with farmers' performance. So I think here it's just a call for us to really provide farmers with the necessary um, see that the need. Of course, my assumption is that the move towards off farm, it's because they don't get enough income to be able to take care of their families from the farming activities that they carry out. So there's always like, farming is the main occupation, but they need something to complement that. Education also positively affected the effectiveness of managing the plot, and this is something we've taken into consideration as we moved into this year. So we're actually getting like farmers that are educated, so it's easy for them to, effectively manage the plots. But that also gives us then a great idea of when we put everything on farm, what do we expect at the end of the day, and we can have like realistic productivity numbers. If we look at the implication of the threats on workload, input requirements, and control over income, what we find is for maturity, early maturity in threats is actually good because it cuts down workload, it reduces the input requirements, especially for the jointly managed plots. If we look at the market demand, it doesn't affect the workload or input needs, but also what it does, which is really important, is that women are able to control a lot more the income that they get. If we look at the yields, of course, there's increase in workload, there's increase in inputs, but what also we can really consider is what other technologies are out there that can reduce the burden, especially on women. Conclusion. So there's a need to definitely continuously align our research outcomes with the on-farm realities, which is what we're doing. Women access, own, and make more decisions in joint and women managed plots. So having a lot more of that. And we have other conclusions we can also look at and a reference list. So we want to thank the donors, Bill and Melinda Gates, Tari, for all their hard work. We're waiting for any comments and definitely want to refine even more what we're doing. Thank you.